let's be real for a minute, man. You know, I was one of those type of people. Yes, I'm going to admit it. I was one of those type of people where I felt drained from trying to please everybody. Bro, it killed me mentally. It killed me. I'm gonna just give it to y'all straight like that. It killed me mentally, bro. Trying to please everybody, bro. Mm. And yeah, bro, I'm honest enough to admit I was a people pleaser. I did have a TikTok where I grew from 10,000 followers to 30,000 followers to 40,000 followers. And you know, it got from speaking from my heart to speaking from what people will want to hear and give me a like. You get what I'm saying? And I mention that because I also trying to please people social media wise, and then also trying to please people family wise. And I think that the greatest thing I took away from both of those was I never did nothing for me, you know? I never did nothing well and good enough to please me, to be okay, like, show some appreciation to myself, you know? I'm doing this because I love this, you know? I'm doing this because I want to and I like doing this, you know? And trying to please everybody, you know? By doing things this way, by adjusting things this way, by not talking about certain things, by staying quiet, you know, by not being myself. Um, it was a lot. You know, you can please people just from not being yourself, you know, because you don't want to, you don't want to, make people feel uncomfortable. That's just the truth. You don't want to make people feel uncomfortable from being you. And, you know, I really had to learn, like, bro, I'm going to die one day. You get what I'm saying? And that's how you got to look at it, literally. I'm going to die one day, you know? And, I could keep trying to please these people, or I could please God, the one who gave me this gift that make others feel uncomfortable. The one who created in me skills and who know me like the back of his hand. And yeah, bro, it took time, And I think a lot of times where that people pleasing came from not getting affirmations about myself, from the ones I love, not receiving certain closures, certain confirmations, because I was searching. I wanted, when you want to be somebody, you end up pleasing people in a sense, you know? And I'm only saying when you don't get those confirmations and affirmations and reassurance from the ones you need to hear from, Um, and that's really what it was. It wasn't because I love pleasing people. It was because I didn't get the confirmation I needed, from those around me. They really didn't tell me much. They really didn't know me, and I ended up doing things I felt like I had a passion for. I did it out of the heart, but then it switched over to, I see they like this. Let me say it this way, or I see they like it this way. Let me say it like this so they can really like it, But then it got to a point where it's just like, they not liking it. What am I doing wrong, And people pleasing always cause you to look back at yourself. You start feeling like you're not enough. You start feeling like, if I don't do it their way, I'm never gonna get it right, And that's crazy. That was my mindset. That really was. And, it just show you that unity and family is everything. You always gonna need someone around for, mentorship, leadership, to speak life into you, to confirm your gifts. And sometimes you don't even get those confirmations, The hardest thing I had to realize was, not the hardest, but I just had to realize, like, I gotta do something for me, because then it's like I'm holding back everything I want to be to please people who's not even caring about me, you know? They're not really focused on me. They don't really care about how hard I'm going for them and the things I'm doing for them, you know? And, you know, doing that stuff will drain you. It will kill you mentally, you know? Um, and then you look around nowadays where it's a lot of people pleasing going on, you know? And for me, it's like, instead of judging those people, I kind of understand them, but that's why, you know, I want to speak on topics like that and talk about my experience with people pleasing. Um, it's difficult, you know. It is difficult to get out of once you get in. Um, it's so much. It's so much love in one sense, but then there's so much draining, you know, because now you have to figure out next about how to please them. And it's real, bro. I'm being very real with y'all, you know. A lot of people won't admit this, but it's the truth, you know. I really didn't get that confirmation I needed from the ones I love, you know. I didn't get that reassurance. I didn't get the closure. You know, they didn't care if I had a gift or not, you know, and it came for me. It came to me just doing things or seeing what others were like, you know. And I just want to continue to like be real with y'all, be honest, and that's what this channel is about. Not people pleasing, but being able to relate, being able to speak on things that are disturbing, but it needs to be heard. You know, the truth needs to be out there. When you're not people pleasing, sometimes words can bother you. You know, especially when you're not ready to confront whatever it is you're not ready to let go of. And that's what this channel is all about, confronting, letting go, you know, reminiscing, but to let go, you know, reminiscing to see how far we came, you know, not just for me, but for whoever's watching, you know. And I truly believe like this channel is going to be very great. You know, I have so many ideas for it. And it's not just to please y'all, but to give valuable information, you know, to speak on things that people aren't talking about, you know, when dealing with yourself, when dealing with not receiving insurance, you know. Reassurance is very important, you know, especially as a young man, you know. A lot of times people get reassurance from being out in the streets. Not getting that reassurance can lead you down the wrong path, you know. And sometimes it can be your fault, sometimes it can't. But, you know, responsibility, I feel like it depends on the situation. But it is very important to make a valuable choice, you know. Sometimes you learn how to come back to yourself and please yourself, and you start suffering for the choices of pleasing people, you know. And it was a very weighing down, it was very disturbing, not disturbing, but overwhelming, you know, just because I didn't get reassurance and be told that I was good at this or I had a gift in this area, you know. Do this because you have a passion for it, you know. Do this because you have a desire to do it. Do this because you're willing to not get paid and still do it. You get what I'm saying? So when you're pleasing people, a lot of times you're just doing that because you're getting the attention, because you're maybe getting paid, you know? And you really gonna have to come back to yourself and realize, like, I need to do something for me, you know? I need to do something that gives me a joy just waking up in the morning, you know? I need to do something for me that I could thank God he have given me, you know? So I just want to continue to speak on heavy topics that needs to be talked about, deep topics, and I'm gonna catch y'all in another video.